for joining this webinar. Let's get started. Okay, so my name is Soo Kim. I'm from Korea and I'm doing this webinar from Korea. I have about 10 years teaching experience and I've been working with eFuture for about 10 years as well. And I do lots of teacher training, and I used to travel a lot before COVID-19 to meet the teachers and to do teacher training and to introduce eFuture products and to meet our partners all over the world. But with COVID-19, we do lots of webinars instead. Okay, so you are ready for another interesting and significant webinar. Okay, that's the spirit. Okay, that's very good. So let's get started, everyone. So today's topic is tips for teaching grammar to young learners. Okay, so we have another webinar coming up in 2 weeks' time, and that's about reading. Okay. I have some questions for you, right, before we start. Please answer these questions. I have a survey here. Okay, so question number 1. How important is it to teach grammar to young EFL children? Very important, important, not very important, not important at all. Okay? Oops. Why is it finished? Hang on, it's not finished. Okay, here we are. Okay, so how important is it to teach grammar to young EFL children? Okay, if you cannot see the survey form, you can just write your answers on the chat box. Okay, number 2, have you used eFuture's My First Grammar series? Okay, yes or no? And have you attended eFuture's webinar before? Yes or no? Okay, so please answer the questions. Okay, so let's finish this and look at the result. Okay, so I'll tell you the result. How important is it to teach grammar to young EFL children? Very important, 35%. Important, 48%. Not very important, 17%. Not important at all, 0%. Okay, so we all agree that it's kind of important to teach grammar to young EFL children. Okay, and number 2, 18% of you have used My First Grammar series. Okay, so this series is new to most of you. Have you attended eFuture's webinars before? 37% said yes. Okay, and 63% of you are joining this webinar for the first time, right? You are joining the eFuture webinar for the first time. So welcome. Okay, welcome everyone. So it's very important to teach grammar to young EFL learners. Okay, it's very important. However, your approach to teaching grammar this is probably more important, right? To match how children learn languages. Okay, your approach is very, very important. Okay, so which approach do you use when you teach grammar? Okay, does it match how children learn languages? Okay, the way we teach grammar, that's very important. Okay, so it's not grammar, but it's the way we teach grammar. Does it match how children learn languages? Okay, so let's think about how we teach grammar. Okay, so how do children learn languages? How do they learn languages? Okay, let's read this together, okay? Children see the foreign language from the inside. Okay, this is important. So children see the foreign language from the inside and try to find meaning in how the language is used in action, in interaction, and with intention, rather than from the outside as a system and form. Okay, so please read this again and think about how children learn languages. Okay, so they see the language from the inside and try to find meaning in how the language is used. Okay, so I draw a little diagram here. So children look at language from inside, right? They are already inside the language and try to find meaning. This is how children learn foreign languages. Okay, but we try to teach from outside. Okay, sometimes we try to teach language from outside. We try to teach as a system and form, right? But please remember, children are looking at the language from inside and they try to find meaning from inside. This is how they learn foreign languages. So we should teach like this, right? From inside, not from outside. Then how do you teach grammar? How do you teach grammar? How do you teach? Do you teach from inside or from outside? Let's read this together. Learning grammar is a messy process requiring the teacher to provide lots of meaningful practice, recycling, and guidance in attending to language form. Okay, so learning grammar is a messy process, right? Don't you agree? It's not easy to learn grammar, right? It's very messy. So what do we need to do? We should provide lots of meaningful practice, recycling, and guidance. Okay, so please remember this throughout this webinar. And please remember this when you go back to your class and teach your students. Right? When you teach grammar, remember, lots of meaningful practice, recycling, and guidance. Okay, so let's look at this diagram. So the student is already inside the language, right? So we provide lots of meaningful practice and recycling and guidance. Okay, so remember, okay, this is probably the most important diagram for today's webinar. Okay? So here are the tips for teaching grammar to young learners. Okay, I'll give you 4 tips today, right? There are more, but I just selected 4, right? There are many different ways of teaching grammar, and I'm not saying that, one way is better than the other, right? Because our teaching environment and teaching situation is all different, right? So teachers would know, right? You would know what would work for your situation, right? But these 4 tips that I'm giving today, this will work for all situations and all environment. Okay, so let's look at the 4 things. Shall we read it together? Okay, let's read aloud. Number 1, make it meaningful. Number 2, make it interactive. And number 3, make it fun. Number 4, link and recycle. Okay, so I'll focus on those 4 things today. Okay. So please remember these 4 things. I'll ask you at the end of this webinar, right? So you have to remember these 4 things. Okay. So let's move on to the next slide. Let's think about grammar explanation before we start. Okay. I said minimize grammar explanation. Okay. If you try to explain grammar points to young children, it'll be too difficult, right? It's too complex for young children. So try to minimize grammar explanation. Okay, try to use other ways. So let's look at this. So help students notice the target structure, right? Notice. Okay. Not explanation, but notice. Help students use the target structure and understand the meaning. Okay. So help students actually use the structure and understand the meaning. Okay. So I'll give you an example. Okay. So today you are trying to teach plural nouns to your students. Okay. So today's target is plural nouns. Okay, and if you explain like this, it'll be too difficult. Do you think your students can understand this? To make regular nouns plural, add s to the end. If the singular noun ends in s, ss, sh, ch, x, or z, add es to the end to make it plural. Okay, if you say something like this, right? If you explain this to your students, right, to your young learners, would they understand? Right? They're very young, their level is very low, right? Can they understand this? Probably not, right? It's very difficult. Okay? So what can you do? You can help your students notice, okay? And you can help your students use the structure and understand the meaning. Okay, so here, look at this. Notice, right? Help your students notice. If you look at this chart, dog, dogs. Oh, something is different, right? Children can notice this. Cat, cats. Ah, there's something different. Book, books. Egg, eggs. Okay, so you help your students notice. Okay, so here, grammar is noticed. And provide meaning-focused input. Okay, so you can provide the pictures rather than explaining the grammar points. You can provide the pictures, or you can provide the real objects. Okay, so let's stop sharing this PPT for now. Okay, can you all see me? Yes? Okay, so here, notice. Okay, how can you do this? Look, I have a pen. Okay, I have a pen. A pen. Right, I have a pen. Now, how many pens? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 pens. I have 4 pens. Look, 4 pens. Okay, notice. A pen, 4 pens. Okay, so you help your students notice. There's an S there, right? For pens. Okay, try another one. What's this? It's an egg, right? I have 1 egg. Here, how many eggs? 2 eggs. Okay, 1 egg, 2 eggs. Notice, right? Can you see the difference? So help your students notice. An egg, 2 eggs. Okay, 2 eggs. Okay, notice rather than explaining the grammar points. Okay, so which is easier? This is much easier, right? And using the real objects or flashcards. Okay, so let's go back to my PPT slides. So help students notice. Okay, look at this picture here. I have the pictures here, down here. An egg, 6 eggs. A pen, 4 pens. Okay, so you can introduce the grammar target like this, right? Help students notice. Okay, compare this with this. Remember this explanation, right? Which is easier? Which is more effective for your students? Okay, so think about that. So try to minimize the grammar explanation, but help students notice. These pages are from my first grammar. Okay, and all the examples that I used today is from my first grammar book 1. Okay, this one. So this page is from my first grammar book 1. Okay, so tip number 1, make it meaningful. Okay, make it meaningful. How do you do that? Provide context, connect to real life, and personalize. Okay, so these 3 things are very, very important to make grammar meaningful. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A or use the chat box, right? And I'll try to answer the questions at the end of the session. Okay, so let's look at number 1, provide context. Okay, how do you do that? Let's look at this picture first. Okay, look at this. So I provide a context. Again, this page is from my first grammar book 1. Okay, wow, lots of things in the picture, right? Can you all look at the picture? What do you see here? Do you see the eggs? Yeah, how many eggs? Okay, let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 eggs. Okay, so we have the context here. Students can see the picture and they can actually count the number of eggs. Right? The context is provided. Eggs. Remember? 1 egg, right? 2 eggs. Okay, now what else do you see in the picture? Cats, right? Let's count the cats. How many cats are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 cats, right? 5 cats. So you look at the picture first. You talk about the picture and you can count, right? And then look at this activity, find and write, right? So remember 7 eggs, we counted the eggs together, right? 7 eggs. Okay, number 2, cats. How many cats? 5 cats. Okay, so you can write 5 cats here. Okay, so this activity is now much easier. It's more fun because we have the context, right? This was the context. And there are many other things, right? So you can count other things together with your students, talk about the picture. So they are actually using the language, right? They are saying cats, right? Eggs. Okay. We often see activity sheets like this, right? I got this from the internet, right? If you search, you can get, many different kinds of activity sheets from the internet. You just Google it, and some teachers just, download and use that in the class, right? So you often find worksheets like this. So let's compare this with the activity we just did. Okay, look at this, plural nouns. Okay, here we have a picture. Right? Apple. And then students will have to add S here, right? Apples to make it plural, right? But think about the context. There's only one apple here, but students will have to make it plural, apples, right? So it's not easy to figure out the meaning, right? Why do we use S here? We use S because there are more than one, but the picture is only one, right? It doesn't really match. Okay, so if you give this kind of activity, well, you can still use this because you need to practice the form, right? Students will have to practice writing S at the end of the noun, right? So in that way, you can still do this, right? But if you think about the context, right? Something is missing here, right? Can you see my point? Let's stop sharing this. And this is my experience, right? I'm sure you have the same experience. If this is the same worksheet that I just showed you, right? If you give this out to the students and ask them to do this, what do they usually do? They don't even read. They'll get this and they'll quickly write S, 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 right? They'll just write S like this without even looking at the words, right, for some students. So this is very mechanical. Right? It's very, very mechanical. Do you agree? And it's not meaningful. Okay, let me go back to the PPT. Okay, I mean, this activity is the same, right? You just add S or ES just to make it plural. But how about the meaning? Okay, make it meaningful by providing context. So if you see this boy with help sign, right? These examples are from mostly from the internet. I downloaded some of the things from the internet. There are so many free worksheets that you can download. Okay, so I download some of the activity sheets. Right? So if you see this boy, it's the material that I used from other sources. It's not my first grammar. Okay? Okay. Now let's look at this. Number 2, connect to real life. Okay. Now look at these pictures. Okay, can you see the rabbit here? A rabbit can jump. Okay, number 2, what is it? It's a turtle. A turtle can't jump. Okay, so the target here is can and can't. Okay, the birds can fly. A girl can't fly. The children can run. The baby can't run. So we use the real pictures, the real life pictures, right? So it's more real to the students. Okay, so to make it more meaningful, you can connect things to real life. Okay, so look at the target. Can, can't. Okay, and you can probably do the actions, right? You can stand up and jump, and I can jump. How about the baby? Can this baby jump? No, the baby can't jump. Okay, and I can walk, and you can stand up and you can actually walk. Okay, do the actions together. I can walk. Can this baby walk? No. Okay, so use the real pictures, real objects, or you act out. Okay, then it'll be meaningful for the students. They'll understand the meaning. Okay, it's more real. Look at this activity sheet that I got from the internet. Okay, look at this picture, number 1. Can he play football? Can he play football? Yes, he can. Okay, number 2, can he drive a car? I don't think so, right? He's a child and he's riding a bicycle, right? So no, he can't. Okay, so well, you have the picture, so you have the context, but it's not real, so it's not so meaningful. You don't know this boy, right? So you can still do this kind of activity, right? But how can you turn this into a more meaningful activity? Maybe you can do the actions, right? Maybe you can use the real life pictures, or maybe you can use the your family photos. Then it becomes real, it becomes meaningful. Number 3, personalize. Okay, to make things more meaningful, you can personalize it. Okay, this is a very, very important element when you teach grammar. You learn a grammar structure and then you personalize it. Then it becomes real. It becomes yours, right? You can express yourself using the grammar structure that you just learned. Okay, you can actually use it, right? So you understand the meaning. So personalize. Let's look at number 1. Piano, right? I can play the piano. I can't play the piano. Right? Students can personalize it. They can talk about themselves. So can you play the piano? I can play the piano. So I can circle can. Okay. Number 2, I can ride a bike or I can't ride a bike. Can you ride a bike? I can ride a bike. So I can circle can. Okay, so when you finish this activity, you can talk about yourself. I can play the piano, I can ride a bike, but I cannot ski, I can't ski. Okay, so this is personalization. And you can ask your students to take turns and they can talk about themselves. Okay, then it's real, it's meaningful. Okay, then students will remember and they'll use this structure. Okay. Now, this one was easier because you just have to circle can or can't, right? This one is a little bit more difficult because you have to write the whole sentence, right? So you start with the easier activity and then you move on to more challenging one. Okay, so here, choose and write about you. I can and I can't. Number 1 is the example. I can write. I can't fly. Okay, so you can choose one from here. Number 3, I can play the piano. So I can write. Number 3, I can play the piano. Number 4, snowboard. I can't snowboard. Okay, so I can choose and write. Again, when you finish this activity, right, you can change the answers, right? And you can learn about other students, or you can even do a presentation, right, using this activity, talking about themselves. Okay, so far, are you okay? Are you following me? Yes? Okay, very good. Now, remember, try not to explain grammar too much. Okay, let's try another one here. Today's target is have and has, right? If you try to explain it like this, the verb have means to possess, to own. Have is used with the pronouns I, you, we, and they. Has is used with he, she, and it, right? It's too long. It's maybe too difficult for your students, right? So what do? You help your students notice the grammar. So here's the simple chart. Here, have, has, it's different, right? So you can notice because students are already inside the language, right? They can notice and then they try to find meaning in how the language is used. Okay, so you notice have, has, I, we, you, they, have. So you use have with I, we, you, they. But you use has with she, he, it, right? That's noticing. Okay? And you can use the real objects or flashcards to introduce have or has. Okay, so let's do this activity. Okay, here I have my friend. This is my friend Chip. Hi everyone. Right? I'm Chip. Okay, so I have my friend Chip. Okay, and I have my bag. This is my bag. Okay, this is my new Let's Smile bag. Okay, and Chip has a bag as well. This is Chip's bag. Chip has Harry Potter bag. Okay, so I have a bag, and I have, what do I have in my bag? I have an egg. Okay, I have an egg. I have a toy car. Right? I have a toy car. It's a police car. I have oranges. Right? I have oranges. So I have. Right? I have a bag, and inside the bag I have an egg. I have a car, a toy car, and I have oranges. Okay, now my friend Chip, okay, she has, what does she have? She has an apple. Okay, she has an apple. She has a toy car. She has, this is a fire engine. And she has a fire engine. And she has a ball. Okay, so she has. Okay, so you help your students notice. Okay, have, has. So you can introduce the grammar target like this, using flashcards, real objects. Okay, so let's go back to my slide. Okay, let me share the slide. Okay, so here we looked at the target. Okay, we help our students notice. Okay, this is an activity I got from the internet, right? Using have, has, right? Fill in the blanks using have or has. Okay. And you know what some students will do? They don't even read the whole sentence, right? They'll just look at the first word, I, and then they just write have. Number two, they'll just write have. Number three, mom, they'll write has. Number four, we have. Number five, I don't have, right? Some students don't even read the whole sentence. Then what about the meaning? Right? You have to read the whole sentence to get the meaning. Okay, so maybe after this activity, you can ask your students to read the whole sentence. Okay, that's a way of helping your students focus on the meaning. Okay, but it can be very mechanical, right? And it's not so meaningful. Okay, and I'll introduce another activity. Look at this. This is from my first grammar book 1. And this is my favorite example, actually. Right? This is my favorite activity from my first grammar. So here, circle and check yes or no. Okay, let's look at number 1. The ant has 6 legs. Okay, so have or has, the ant, one ant. So you circle has. The ant has 6 legs. Okay, but that's not the end of the activity. You have to think about the meaning. Okay, the ant had 6 legs. Yes or no? Is this a true sentence? Yes or no? Ant had 6 legs. Yes or no? Yes, the ant has 6 legs. It's a true sentence. Right? So by doing this, you will have to think about the meaning of the sentence. Right? And we have a picture here to help. Right? Look at this picture. Can you see the ant? How many legs? 6 legs, right? So yes, this is a correct sentence. So you can check yes. Okay, let's try one more. Number 2. Elephants has small ears, right? Elephants. right? There's S here, elephants. So have or has? Have. Elephants have small ears. Okay, so you can circle have. How about the meaning of the sentence? Yes or no? Elephants have small ears. Small ears? Look at the picture here, right? Here's the picture. And you can even use the real picture to show, right? Elephants have big ears, right? So yes or no? No. So you can check no. Okay? So it's not only the forms, right? It's the meaning. And which is more important? The meaning is important, right? So by doing this activity, you can practice the form, you can focus on meaning, and you can also personalize. Okay, look at number 7. This is a personalization question. I has a great smile. Okay, I. So is it have or has? Have, right? I have a great smile. Yes or no? Okay, so this is a personalization question. So you can, this is about you, right? Yes or no? Do I have a great smile? Yes, right? Then you can check yes, right? If you don't think you have a great smile, then you can check no. So the answers will vary, right? Students will have different answers. Number 8, we has a good class. Okay, so are we having a good class now? Are we having a good training now? Yes, okay, so you can check yes. Okay, so this is actually using the language, personalize, right? So you can see that why this activity is good, right? You can do 3 things: practice the form, focus on meaning, and you can also personalize. Okay? And personalization can be done in the test as well. So this is the final test that we provide in my first grammar book 1. Okay, we have a personalization section in the test, even in the test. Okay, so read and write about you. So students will write, right? How are you? So students will write about themselves. Okay, how old are you? What color is your hair? What color are your eyes? Okay, so here you can see the grammar, right? You can see what, you can see the plurals, eyes. Okay, so these questions are based on the grammar targets that students learn throughout the book. Okay, that's why this is the final test. Okay, and you can do this, you can use this as a speaking test as well, right? You can ask these questions to your students and see if they can answer the questions, right? So it can be done both ways. You can do writing or you can do speaking. Okay, you can actually use the language and you can test the usage of the language. Okay, now let's move on to tip number 2. Make it interactive. Okay, how am I doing with the time? Okay, I think the time is okay. So tip 2, make it interactive. Okay, do communicative activities and do pair work and group work. You can do interview, you can do class survey, you can do quiz. Okay, you can do many pair work or group work to make it interactive. So here, this activity is from my first grammar book 1. Okay, so here, you have a spider. Okay, can you see the spider here? And this girl is talking, right? You have a spider. Can you see the expression on her face, right? You have a spider. Your spider is big. Okay, so grammar target here is the possessive pronoun, right? I, my, you, your, he, his. Okay, so you have a spider. Your spider is big. Okay, and after doing this, we have a personalization question here, right? How about you? What do you have? What is it like? Right, so students can have an interaction. They can ask each other. Right? So here, this student is answering the question. I have a cat. My cat is black. So he is practicing I, my, but he's actually talking about himself, right? And they're interacting. You can ask and answer the question. right? So this can be done as an interview activity, or this can be a presentation as well, right? If students can show the picture of their pet, right? And then they can say, I have a cat, my cat is black. Then this is a presentation, and this is communication. Okay? And let's look at this, right? This can be done in pairs, right? This is an information gap filling activity type of activity, right? So if you look at this picture, right, lots of things are happening here, right? It's very interesting, right? Look at this picture, it's very interesting. There are many things going on. And you can compare the first picture with the second picture, right? If you look at the first one, right, this is at night. Can you see the dark sky? Can you see the moon and the star? Right, this is at night. What happens at night? And look at this one here, the second picture. This is during the day, right? This is the morning. You can see the sun, right? It's bright outside. Okay, so you can compare the picture. I enlarged the picture here because this is too small. Let's look at number one here. Number two. Let's look at the dog. Okay, what's the dog doing? The dog is climbing up the curtain, right? So the dog can climb at night. But in the morning, can you look at the picture down here? Number two, it can't climb in the morning. Okay, so students can do this in pairs. One student can talk about the things that what's happening at night, and the other students can look at the picture and what's happening in the morning, and they can compare. Let's look at the bear. Okay, can you look at this bear here, number 5? The bear can read at night, but it can't read in the morning. Right, so you have to use your imagination, right? This will be a very interesting activity for children, right? They can use their imagination, right? Some things are happening at night, right? Have you seen this movie, Night at the Museum? It's one of my favorite movies, right? So, all these things come alive, the dinosaurs walking around the museum, right? And you can see all these interesting things happening at night, right? Only at night. Night at the museum, right? So this activity is a little bit like this. So at night, the doll can fly. In the morning, it can't fly, right? So after doing the speaking activity, you can do the writing activity, compare and write, right? This will be an excellent pair work. Okay. And here you can also do guessing games, right? So let's look at this one. We have Sandy, Amy, and Kate. Okay. And let's read this together. Who is she? You have to guess. Okay, who is she? Take a guess. Can she paint? No, she can't. So it's not Kate. Right? It's not Kate. Can she play the piano? Yes, she can. So it must be Sandy, right? Is she Sandy? Yes, she is. Okay, so this is a guessing game. Now, let's play this guessing game together. Okay, let me stop sharing the screen. Okay, so this is a guessing game that you can do. So I have some pictures here. Okay. I have turtles. Okay, and what are these? Birds. Right? And what are these? They're horses. And what are these? They're fish. Okay, so I have 4 pictures, right? And I have to memorize, right? This is a guessing game. Okay, so fish, horses, birds, and turtles. Okay, now I'll close my eyes. Okay, I'll close my eyes, and then I'll choose one card. Okay, and then here. Okay, now I have to guess. I'll ask you questions and you can answer. You can type the answer on the chat box. Okay, so Can they run? Can they run? Yes or no? Here, you have to know the answer, right? I'll close my eyes and this one. This is hiding behind the question mark, right? Did you see this? Yes? And I'm asking you the question, right? Can they run? Yes, they can. Okay. Can they? No? Are you not sure? Okay, now I'll ask you one more question. Can they swim? Can they swim? Yes, they can. Okay, they can swim. Are they fish? Are they fish? No. Are they turtles? Are they turtles? Yes. Yes, they are turtles. Okay, yes, that's right. Okay, so you can play guessing game with your students. Okay. Yes, they can. Okay, very good. So here we are communicating, right? I'm asking you the question and you are answering the question. And you can have your students take turns, right, to play this game. Right? This is a communicative activity. Right? And students will have to use their brain, right? Because it's a guessing game. This will be very interesting for the students. And they are using the grammar target, right? And you can also play games like this, right? This is a board game, and this is provided in the book, right? My first grammar book 1. And here you have to roll the dice, okay? And then you move the pointer, okay, the counter, and then play the game. And you have to use the grammar target. I, you, he, she. Okay? So you can play all these games, right? So you can see that all these tips that I'm giving you today, they are all related, right? It's, you cannot really separate one from each other, right? Playing games is communicative activity, and you can also have fun. So make it fun. Play games, do fun activities. Okay, so here, if you look at this one first, right? Not the actual page from the book, but look at this. Right? You often see activities like this. Is it a lion? And then you have to check. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Right? Are they foxes? Yes, they are. No, they aren't. So you often see these types of activities, right? But if you do it this way, right, it can be more fun. You look at the picture, right? And you have the answer here. Yes, it is. No, it is. No, it isn't. And you have to make a question. Right? The words are given, but they are all scrambled. So you have to put them in the correct order to make a sentence. Okay, so let's make a sentence. Is it a lion? Yes, it is. Okay, so this is more fun than just doing it this way, isn't it? Number 2, let's make a sentence, right? Are they foxes? Are they foxes? No, they aren't, right? So the answer is no, they aren't. And you have to write the numbers here. You have to put the words in the correct order. Okay, so you can twist it a little bit and make it more interesting by doing it this way. And look at this. This is, you have to be creative, right, for this one. So choose, draw, and write. Okay, so you can choose one picture, right? Let's choose a cat. Okay, and you can choose in, on, under. You can choose one. And you choose one from here. Tent, tree, house, bag, sock, igloo. So you can choose one from here. And then you draw a picture here. Okay, so this is an example. So I chose the cat, and I chose the sock, and I chose in. Okay, and draw this picture. So look at the cat. It's in the sock. Okay, but you can choose different pictures, right? If you choose the tent, and if you choose under, Okay, you can make a sentence like, look at the cat, it's under the tent. Okay, and you can draw a picture here. You can draw a cat under the tent. And so you have to be creative, right? And it's lots of fun because you can create your own sentence. You can create your own picture, right? So be creative and have fun. This one, you can color, right? So you can write the question. The answer is given. It's a coat. So what's the question? What is it? It's a coat. And the question, the answer is given. It's yellow and blue. So what's the question? What color is it? It's yellow and blue. So you can color the picture here, yellow and blue. Okay. So after doing this activity, you can do your own activity. Okay. What is it? It's a t-shirt. What color is it? And students can choose their own color, right? If they want to color the t-shirt yellow, then it's yellow. If they want to color the t-shirt blue, then it's blue, right? This is personalization and it's fun, right? You can do coloring and you can practice the grammar target while you are doing this activity. We have another fun activity here, spin and say, look and write. Okay, so you can spin your pencil, okay, or you can spin, maybe I can show this to you later, right, with the actual book. You can use a paper clip to do this, okay, so you spin, and then if the arrow points to number 1, then you write the question. Okay, so another fun activity, you can do this in groups, right? So it's communicative. And here, look and practice. Find and circle 6 questions. So you can find the words to make a question, right? So how are you? Okay, can you see another question? I can see one here. How old are you? Right? What color are they? So you find the questions. And this is probably the most interesting activity in my first grammar book 1, right? Look at this. Wow, we've got lots of things, right? Here in the picture. You can probably spend hours and hours on this page practicing the grammar targets, okay? So this is a review part. So you'll be using all the grammar targets that you learned throughout the book, right? Using this picture. So I made a close-up of the picture. Okay, so look at this here. Can you look at this picture here? Okay, hang on, let me check the question. Number 1, the snakes are in the tent. You have to find it. The snakes are in the tent. Can you find it? The snakes are in the tent? Yes, here. The snakes are in the tent. Okay, what's the next one? The cat is on the fish tank. Right, the cat is on the fish tank. So here, the cat is on the fish tank. Right? So after, you can read the sentence and find the picture, right? You can do it this way, or you can look at the picture and make a sentence. You can do it the other way, right? Look at the picture and make a sentence. Or you can do this in pairs or in groups. You ask a question and answer the question, right? So where is the cat? The cat is on the fish tank, right? You can do ask and answer. So you can do many types of activities using this picture, right? It's very interesting. Students will love this page, right? And number 4, link and recycle, right? This is the key point of my first grammar, link and recycle, right? So review old targets, expand and link with new targets. Help students recycle, reuse, and remember, and use spiral syllabus. Okay, so this is the spiral syllabus. You review old targets, right? You learn new targets, you link and practice together, you recycle, right? It's all intertwined, right? There's a link with old targets, new targets. You can practice together so that you can remember and you can use the language. Okay, so in my first grammar book, you can see a page like this, right? Link and review section. And here, lesson 12, lesson 13, lesson 14, lesson 15, lesson 16, 17, 18. These lessons are all linked. Okay, and you can practice together the targets from all these different lessons. Okay, and we provide a chart for the teachers. Okay, so let's look at the example here. Let's look at number 5. Birds are, does, can fly. Right? What's the correct one? Birds can fly. Okay, birds can fly. And number 5 question is from lesson 18. Right? You can see the chart here. Right? It's from lesson 18. Okay, so if your students have a problem with number 6, right? You can check. Number 6 is from lesson 14, so you should do some review with lesson 14, right? So go back to lesson 14, do some review, and then come back here and do number 6 again. Okay, so we can provide a chart like this because we were very careful when we are designing this book, right? This course. So we had to figure out, right, which unit goes with which unit, right? Which grammar targets to link. Okay, so there was a very careful planning. That's why we can provide a chart like this. Right? It's for you to use in your class. Right? You can check if the students are okay with the previous targets, right? Have they learned? Have they remember? Okay, and you can check. You can always go back and review. Okay. So comparing spiral syllabus with linear syllabus here, right? In most of the grammar books, you can see that you can see the linear syllabus. Okay, so unit 1 nouns, unit 2 pronouns, unit 3 adjectives, unit 4 verbs, but there's no link between the units. There's no link, right? So when you do unit 2, you probably forget all the nouns. When you do unit 3, you forget the nouns and the pronouns because there's no link, right? There's no recycling. There's no link. So you just forget. But if you follow spiral syllabus, like my first grammar, right? Unit 1, you learn nouns. Unit 2, the new target is pronouns. So you learn pronouns, but you also link with nouns, right? And then you practice together. There's recycling. Okay. Unit 3, the new target is adjectives, but you also recycle and make a link with nouns and pronouns. So you can all practice together. So you can see that there's link and recycling, right, throughout the series. So students can remember better and they can use the grammar targets they learned previously. Right? That's why spiral syllabus is very, very important. Right? So my first grammar book 1 to 3, there are 3 books in my first grammar series. Book 1, we have the new targets. But book 2, right? Of course, we have the new targets, but we also have link, review, and extension of book 1. In book 3, we have the new targets, but we also have book 1 and 2 link, review, and extension because it's a spiral syllabus. Okay, so my first grammar, there are 3 books in the series, and then we have my next grammar, also 3 books in the series. So there are 6 books in the whole series, and we follow YLE grammar syllabus, and it's a spiral syllabus. Okay, so you can use it from grade 1 to grade 6. And I think this is the best grammar series for young learners, right? And if you're using course books from eFuture, okay, you can use it together. You can use the course books together with this grammar series, right? Because we have the correlation, right? The level correlation, you can use it together with our series. If you're using course book from other publishers, you can still use my first grammar, right? If your course book follows YLE grammar syllabus, right? You can match it with a writing series or reading series, right? You can use my first grammar, my next grammar series with, you know, all these other skill book series and the course book series. Okay, and here I have lots of activity sheets, right? We provide many activity sheets with our My First Grammar series. Okay, and you can compare these activity sheets with the activity sheets that you can download from the internet. Okay, you can use these activity sheets from the internet, right? There are many free downloadable resources, right? You can use them to practice the forms, right? But there are questions to ask, remember? Link and recycle, meaningful, interactive, fun, right? When you use these kind of activity sheets, you have to ask yourself these questions, right? And think about how you can adapt, right? You can make it more meaningful. You can make it more interactive. You can make it more communicative, right? And I have given you the tips for that, right? Make it meaningful, make it interactive, make it fun, link and recycle, right? So remember those 4 tips for teaching grammar to young learners, okay? And maybe you can use some of these things when you teach grammar to your students today or tomorrow, right? We give certificates for the webinars, okay? So if you join this webinar for the first time, you can actually get the certificate, right? And you can contact our partners for the certificate, okay? And if you want to see the sample books, right, you can also contact our partners. So look at these countries, right, and the email address. If your country is not listed here, right, you can contact us. Here's the email address, inquiry@eltkorea.com. Okay? And please follow us on social media. We have YouTube channel, and we upload all our webinar videos there. We also have model lessons. Okay, so check out our YouTube channel, and we have Facebook, and we always provide information for webinars and new books, right? And we also have Weibo for the teachers in China. Okay, so please follow us. And we have, remember I told you about this, we have another webinar on the 22nd or 23rd. Okay, it's about reading, and this is one of our expert series, right? So if you want to learn more about reading materials and reluctant readers, okay, because the topic is how to motivate learners to read. Okay, so this is all for today's session. Okay, if you have any questions, you can leave it. You can use the Q&A or the chat box. I'll stay for another 2 or 3 minutes to look at the questions and answer the questions if you have any questions. Okay, so did you enjoy today's session? Yeah, I hope you learned some tips from me today. Yeah, and please try to use the tips when you teach grammar to your students. If you cannot use My First Grammar, it's okay, right? If some schools cannot afford to buy another book, it's okay, right? But please remember the 4 tips. You can always adapt. Okay, you can use these 4 tips to change the activities, right? You can be creative and try to use the tips that you learned today, right? It'll be the best if you can use My First Grammar because, it's got all these activities and worksheets and, it follows the spiral syllabus. So it's got everything here. So you just have to use the book, right? That's all you need to do. But if you cannot, for some reason, if you cannot use My First Grammar, then, just use your current book that you're using now, or you can download the materials from the internet, but try to use the tips that I provided today, right? Remember 4 tips? Yeah? What are they? What are the tips? Let's go back to that slide. Yeah, 4 tips, remember? Yeah, number 1, make it meaningful. Number 2, make it interactive. Number 3, make it fun. And number 4, link and recycle. Okay? Yes, the PowerPoint will be available. Yes, for the certificate, please contact our partners. Okay? And you can watch the video on the YouTube channel. Okay? And let me put the partner information here. So please contact our partners. Okay, so yeah, for preschool, we have a we have a course book for kindergarten and preschool, Little Hands. If you visit our website, you can check out our catalog. You can see all our books there. Mechanical means you do the same thing again and again and again, right? So that's mechanical. But sometimes mechanical practice is you have to do, right? You have to learn the form, right? So you need to do some mechanical activities. I'm not saying that they are bad, right? To practice the form, right? You have to do it again and again and again, right? So yeah, you might have to do the mechanical activities, right? Do the same thing again and again and again. So the example, this one. Remember the example that I showed you? Okay, let me stop sharing the, because some teacher asked me about the mechanical activity. This one, this is a good example of mechanical activity. Here, you just have to write S, right? You don't have to do anything else, just write S. This is very mechanical. Students don't have to think much. They just write S, 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 S without thinking much. Very mechanical. You do the same thing again and again and again, right? But to learn the form, this might be necessary. But if you do this all the time, then it's not interesting. It can be very boring for the students. So you can turn this a little bit. You can make it more interesting. So after completing this activity, maybe you can ask your students to draw a picture of apples, right? So here, apple, apples, right? So the number one is apple, apples, right? So you write apples here. Then ask your students to draw the apples and ask how many apples, right? So 3 apples, right? I have 3 apples. Then it becomes communicative, right? You are interacting with your students. You are not only doing the mechanical activity, but you are actually using the language. And you can ask your students to make a sentence, right? I have 3 apples, and then they can draw 3 apples. Apples. So they are using the language target, right? And yeah, it's meaningful. Okay. So I hope you're clear about mechanical activities, right? I'm not saying that you should never do mechanical activities. It's not that, right? You can do these simple writing activities, but you can also turn this into a more communicative activities. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? So we are all finished now. You can go now. We can say goodbye and go. But if you have any questions, right, you can stay a little bit longer. And I'll try to answer your questions. Okay, but let's say goodbye first so you can go. Okay, so goodbye everyone, and hope to see you again. And I hope you remember the 4 tips that I gave you today and have lots of fun with your students in your grammar class. Okay, bye everyone. Bye. Thank you. Oh, I'm so lovely. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Okay, see you later. Bye. Yeah, have fun with your students, right? Have fun with grammar. Okay, so good night, everyone. If you are from Latin America, if you're from Asia, have a great day. Okay, bye, everyone. And I'll check the Q&A box if I can answer some of the questions. Yeah, I've already answered the question, Dean, about the mechanical activities, right? Okay, any other questions? Let me check Q&A. Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming. And thank you for joining this webinar. Oh, past simple. Yeah, tense can be quite difficult to teach, right? So walk, walked. What else? eat, ate, right? Again, remember the tips that I gave you, right? So help students notice the difference, right? If it's, let's say, walked, right? You put ed there, right? So help students notice the grammar target and try to use the grammar target in the sentence, right? So maybe you can use the calendar, right? So teaching tense can be very difficult, right? So use a calendar. So yesterday, I walked to school. Right? Using a calendar will be good, right? That's an effective tool to use. And yeah, again, do lots of activities. I think that would be the only way, right? And yeah, try to play games. So if you look at my first grammar, we do have, let me find, I think it's book 2 that we do past tense, right? And I'm sure you can find some ideas from there because we have all these activities. Let me grab the book. Okay, my first grammar, book 2 is here. Yeah, my first grammar, book 2. If you have to go, just go, right? And if you have any questions, you can email us the questions so I can answer you the questions later, right? And yeah, I think best thing I can do now, because we don't have much time now, right? Look at my first grammar, book 1 or book 2 or book 3. I mean, it's really the best, right? To how to approach, because we've got all the important things in the book, right? I think that's the best answer I can give you now, because we have to go now. When they make mistakes. Yes, of course they make mistakes. I make mistakes, right? So when they make mistakes, keep trying to, like you can correct them, but when you correct them, don't do it like, okay, you're wrong. You have to do it this way. But you can encourage your students to notice the difference, right? By using something like this, right? Right here. There, right? You have to add S, right? 2 eggs, 2 eggs. Okay, so you model it, and then they can repeat after you, right? And help them notice the difference. I think that's the best way, right? And then do lots of practice using the target. Okay, I think I better go now. It's lunchtime here, right? And I hope I can see you again. And yeah, have lots of fun in your grammar class. Okay? Okay, thank you. Bye, everyone. Now I'm going to end this webinar. I don't want to say goodbye. we have to say goodbye. Okay, but we'll see you again. Okay, bye-bye.